Welcome back to our channel. I'm Zack.
I'm Danielle.
And this is, well...
Zack and Danielle.
No doubt.
So today we're talking about Stranger Things. If you did not know, Zack and I are borderline obsessed with Stranger Things. We've been trying to talk about it with everyone in our life, and...
Either they haven't watched it or their opinions are just subpar.
Right. So in this video we're going to talk about popular theories and predictions, but we're also going to talk about some of our own. And
oh, I just thought of this though. We have not reached out to the people who got us into Stranger Things. Sean and Amy, if you watch this, thank you for getting us into the show, and reach out to us because we need to talk to you about theories and stuff.
But before we do that, look down in the description box for the different channels that we have. We both have a book channel.
We got Danielle's books, Zack's books,
yeah,
Zack's sports, and
all the good stuff is going to be linked down there. So now we can jump into it. So
we've got, well, I have like 10 topics to go over. Some of them are like double topics that are like 2 parts or whatever, so a little more than 10, but whatever.
Ooh, actually, before we start though, there's going to be spoilers in this, like 100%.
If you have not seen Stranger Things,
Volume 1.
A, what are you doing?
Yeah.
B, if you have not seen Stranger Things Season 4, watch it before you watch this, because there are spoilers within this that involve Season 4, practically 3, 2, and 1 as well. Nobody really remembers 2, but whatever. And then we're going to have theories going into Volume 2 of Season 4 and possibly... Well, yeah, we'll get to it towards the end, but yeah.
Hopefully this is going to be... We kind of built an outline, like he said, so hopefully this will be nice and, like, layered, but honestly, this might just be you hanging out with us talking about this stuff, because we could go on and on. So let's jump into the first really popular theory, and honestly, this is one I am not really on board with. I know Zack is a little bit more, and he also knows more of the background to this one. I don't really see it, so also leave your comments down below with any that you have. So the first one is that... Oh, do you want to say it? Go ahead.
I'll say it. The first theory that I have, it's a 2-parter, but we'll go over the first one first. Eddie is 10. So it has been theorized for a couple weeks now that Eddie, I think his name is Munson.
Yeah.
Eddie Munson, the long-haired Dungeons & Dragons rocker guy.
A great new character.
Yeah, he's probably my new favorite character. Sorry, Argyle, you're...
No, Argyle's amazing too.
Yeah, okay. Both the new guys are just phenomenal.
He's schmacking.
Yeah, they're his risotto schmacking. All right, so I believe I'm still on the fence, but I lean more towards it being possible than Danielle does.
Right.
Because there's some things that add up, and there are some that don't. I know the big argument that everyone has.
We give the basis of the theory.
The basis of the theory here is that when Vecna, Henry... I almost said Henry
Creel.
Bowers. It's not right. Henry Creel.
His actor, the actor who plays him, the last name is Bowers.
Well, Henry Bowers is the main villain in It. One of the main villains in It. It's kind of ironic. That's actually pretty iconic.
Okay, whatever.
All right. Maybe we'll tie Stranger Things into It. Who knows? Stay tuned.
We'll talk about it next.
But the theory is that when Vecna 1, whatever, went through and did the massacre in Hawkins in the last episode, again, spoilers, that they never showed Ten's face. He was brought into a room with Brenner, and they never showed his face. They only showed him laying on the ground, and Brenner was holding him with his eyes, like, up into him. Throughout the entire season, everyone thought that Henry was... It is Henry. That Henry was dead, Vecna, because everyone assumed Victor went crazy, murdered his wife, his 2 kids, and... everyone thought he was dead. Same theory is going along here with Eddie, and the big things that people point out is when he's talking with Chrissy selling her the drugs, he mentions that when he was younger, he used to have a buzz cut. What's notorious with the kids at Hawkins Labs? A buzz cut. He also has, he's got tattoos on his body. He always wears a watch on his left arm, which is where Brenner usually puts all of the tattoos with the numbers on it. And they never really have a close enough scene to where you can see it. And the only time we ever see him take it off is when he points out that it is broken. However, people testify against that by saying, if he took off his watch, you mean to tell me none of the 6 or 7 kids that were around him happened to notice a number on his wrist? That is true. The other theory is that he also just doesn't remember having it because of how much drugs he takes. The other theory that people point out is his uncle actually used to be a custodian at Hawkins' lab. He found him when he was walking around when Brenner was dealing with 11 in a different room, took him in, raised him, and he just forgot everything that happened at Hawkins. That is possible because 11 doesn't seem to remember anything about that massacre until season 4. It's never brought up, never mentioned. So that's another reason why I'm like, okay, there's a possibility. The other main issue is his eye color. A lot of people are complaining because I think 10's eyes are blue, but Eddie's are brown. And I love one of the comments that somebody said back to that. Like, that's your concern? A show that's got, like, dragon, like, mystical crap and all that stuff, and your concern is somebody's eye color. Thought that comment was kind of funny. But those are some theories that I think are true. I'm not the one who came up with the theory.
That's like the most popular one that I've seen.
That is one of the most popular ones. There's a couple more that go around.
Yeah, let's jump to the other one that has to do with the Creoles. Or let's piggyback off of that and go to the one about the Creoles. This one, I have said this since season 1, that Mrs. Wheeler is somebody besides Mrs. Wheeler. She has more to her story. She's the only parent, besides Joyce Byers, I suppose, that has been very consistent. She's like the leader of the pack when it comes to like the other parents, and there's something more to her story, and a lot of people are saying that she could be Henry Creel's sister, because you don't see the sister get snapped by Henry, right?
You don't see
You just see her lying on the ground. And you don't see her, do the whole thing like the mom. So that's a popular theory.
You don't see the eyes either, which is another thing that piggybacks off of 10 theory.
So that's a popular theory that I've been seeing. And that one, I don't know if I'm fully on that team, but like I'm on team Mrs. Wheeler has something going on. Yeah, she's somebody.
There's definitely something going on. Because we just partially rewatched season 1, and we've realized that what's Mike's dad's name?
Tom? Mr. Wheeler. Okay. Oh, Mr. Wheeler.
I was trying to go on a first name basis, but Mr. Wheeler doesn't seem like he really gives a hoot about the kids.
Yeah,
like anytime there's dinner, he's just kind of like off in his own world, just like, yeah, okay. Like, it kind of seems like Mrs. Wheeler, like, I feel like they're not, I feel like he's like a stepfather. That's like another, like, issue I kind of have. It's like, I feel like he's not the true parents of Nancy, Holly, and Mike. I just don't see it. He just doesn't seem like he gives a shit. Pardon my French, but Let me
see this.
Like, when the end of season 1, when Mike's standing by an ambulance, we literally just saw this. Mrs. Wheeler runs up, grabs him, hugs him, and Mr. Wheeler's just chilling in the back, talking to one of the ambulance people. Like, he's not as concerned about him being okay as she is. And that is, I'm not saying it's in every situation, but kind of seems like a step-parent kind of thing, where it's like, that's not really my kid, I can really care less, I just love you. But, again, that's just another one of my theories with Mrs. Wheeler, is that that's not the true father of Mike, Holly, and Nancy.
So, another theory is, this is like very popular, and I think both of us are definitely on board with it, is that Will is gay. And I love that. I think that that'll be an interesting dynamic to see, because that friend group is so close-knit and tight, and so I think that it'll be interesting to see how that could maybe play out. Obviously, it's not confirmed, but it's making you think that.
It's very possible. And my thing to piggy off of that, if you want to finish, go ahead.
No, I was going to say something else about Will.
Well, this is about Will, too.
Okay, another thing about Will, prediction that I have, is that painting, I don't necessarily know. Obviously, it's something that he's wanting to show Mike, so everyone thinks that it's something to do with Mike. But I also think that he possibly could have done something like painting. I mean, what do you think? Is it something to do with Mike?
A
lot of people also think that he could be painting like what he has seen in his time in the Upside Down.
I don't see that. I don't see that.
I don't know.
So 2 comments with that.
I think that's going to come back though. Will being there, I think that hopefully actually, how do I want to? Let me say this. I loved season 4. It's my favorite season by far. My biggest complaint, I guess, which it worked out fine. I just wish that we saw all of the groups together. I didn't like that all of the episodes, they were worlds apart. I wish that they came together, sooner. Obviously, all the storylines I enjoyed, I was following and everything, but I don't know. I'm like ready for them to reunite, and I think that when they do get together, I think Will is going to be, he has the whole neck thing. I think that might be a reason why they fail, because I think that another prediction that we both have from the trailer is that their big plan is that they're going to use Max to lure Vecna, but I think possibly when the California crew, hopefully they reunite this season, I think that Will might either cause problems with that, like the plan might backfire and Vecna will start going after Will, or something along the lines of that. I think that Will is going to be affected by Vecna again. For another season, Will's going to get it. Possibly.
I agree with that. So let me take it back to the very first thing you said.
Yeah.
About him being gay, which I tried butting in.
Well, it's on a roll.
We'll call you Butter. So, yeah, I honestly forgot what you said after him being gay. So give me a second to catch up here. So I would definitely agree with him being gay. I definitely see that being a thing.
I said that would be an interesting dynamic.
Yes, I definitely can see it. It was hinted at in season 1 with Lonnie calling him queer like all the time. Obviously his reasoning is different than what the actual reasoning would probably be. So Lonnie's kind of a douche, but I would say that the theory I have is he ends up with Mike. Danielle does not like that theory or agrees with it fully 100% because of 11, but that banks into my theory with 11 and something we'll talk about in the future. The painting, Elle mentions that she thinks that he's drawing it for a girl that he likes, but so it's got to be something involving love, something romantic as a painting. Well,
I think he does have a crush on Mike. I don't deny that. I don't think I don't think anything between those two is going to happen in volume 2. Not at all.
I would say that's going to be a season 5 thing.
Okay, so
but what was the other thing you had with him?
That he's going to be affected by Vecna.
Oh, yeah. So that's a theory her and I both kind of agree on. We have Max at some point. So our big theory for the showdown that we think might happen is Lucas, Erica, and Max go to the Creel house in the real world, where Steve, Nancy, Robin go into the house, and Dustin and Eddie stay back in the Upside Down in the van, where they venture off to do this final mission. Max is supposed to be the bait, I will say. And obviously you see in the previews, Jason messes something up because Lucas is fighting him. And then I definitely see something where Will mess that up.
Okay, well let's just come right out and say this. They're going to lose the fight in volume 2.
This is definitely like an Infinity War situation. They're going to lose. Yeah. Season 5 is going to be them trying to
and season 5 is going to be crazy. There's no way that they can win, quote unquote, beat Vecna in volume 2 and then have a whole nother season with a whole nother bad guy. Vecna is the big
Duffers,
bad.
I think, have already said they lose. Be prepared to see
Well, and we
Big
also
loss.
lose people, which that's
They're
another
gonna
thing
take
we'll
a
talk
big
about.
fat L is what's going to happen to this team.
Let's talk about our predictions for who's going to die later. Let's talk more about like our predictions based on like things in the trailer and stuff. I think that Susie going to the California crew. Let's talk about the California crew. So
Yeah,
they definitely go to Nevada.
They go where L is.
100%. So, do they pick up Elle? Does the blowing up the lab from the trailer happen while they're in Nevada,
Well,
or what?
That's actually an interesting question because when I rewatched the preview,
We've seen that
it does. Yeah, we've watched it numerous times.
We watched it like 10 times.
I've rewatched the one for Volume 1 too numerous times because there's a couple scenes in the Volume 1 trailer that are not in Volume 1. So, yeah. We will not link those down below. They're not for us.
They're not for us.
However, I will say it doesn't look like the lab blows up. It looks like she's blowing up the vehicles. And it's supposed to possibly look like the lab blows up.
I agree with that
Because the explosion looks way too big to be the lab. And if it was the whole lab, then there'd be way too many explosions underground. That or Brenner does some self-destruct thing and kills everybody, which we both hate Dr. Brenner, but...
He's, no, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that in a minute.
Okay, so the California crew. Susie. Let's talk about Susie.
Because we need a Susie Dustin team up. So
yeah, they haven't reunited yet, and they need to.
We haven't seen them together in person. They've talked on radios, this and that, but they have not we have not seen them on screen together.
So 2 predictions. She doesn't reunite with the crew until season 5 is one prediction, because if they lose, they might the big thing about Susie is everyone calls her a genius. What's Dustin saying? He's like, she's a certified genius.
She's a certified genius.
So that could be a reason why.
Or Susie Poo.
She comes to the crew in season 5 because they want a certified genius to be Vecna.
Yeah,
why not?
Something fails in season 4 and they have to call upon her help again.
Or maybe she tags along with them on the Nevada journey, and if that's the case, I would love it.
The issue I go with that is because they've lied to her the entire time so far.
Yeah.
They pretty much have said, hey, we need to go to Nevada, or we need you to decipher this code because there's some American Tendo system that's coming out. And, so she's thinking that it's for some video game console for his birthday.
Yeah.
For Dustin's birthday. And so I don't see her going with unless they have to spill the beans. And I could definitely see where that might happen because Argyle and Eden were both getting high as a kite in the back of the van. So he could have accidentally said something to her, and maybe that's what triggers them to come with. But otherwise, I don't see her coming with for Volume 2. I see her as a big role in Season 5. It could be something where, we'll have a prediction later for deaths, but maybe Dustin bites the dust and she has to bring him back. I don't know. We could be going full on Infinity War Endgame here.
Well, yeah, so let's wrap up the California crew. They go to Nevada. Somehow that whole crew will make it to Hawkins. I don't think that they would end this season with them, especially because the last episode is 2.5 hours. Let's reunite the group. Let's all battle Vecna. And that's what I hope for. They definitely go to Nevada.
They go to get Elle. I see it going not too well. Because like we mentioned with...
there's going to be something that goes wrong, of course.
Well, yeah, with Max being the bait, I can see when Will gets back into Hawkins, Vecna's like, ooh, wait a minute. There's something tastier around here. And so he goes away from her. And
also, they can't communicate.
In the Upside Down?
No, they all can't communicate.
Oh yeah, so within each other, nobody's been able to communicate with anybody
because the
California team has been cut off from everybody. Right. The only way they can't even do a phone call.
They were told by Owen's crew that if you tell the people in Hawkins,
they'll be in more trouble.
Yeah. So they were literally no one's communicating with each other. So that's kind of what we think is going to happen with California. Let's move to Russia, and then we'll go back to Hawkins. So, the crew in Russia. I kind of hope that I like the two new...
There's 5 people in Russia.
Yeah, there's 5 people in Russia that we're following. We've got Hopper, Joyce, Murray, Yuri, and Antonov.
Murray.
So, obviously, you know, they all reunite. Woohoo! Antonov and Yuri are going to be in a bad place because they screwed each other over.
Yuri pretty much, no, Antonov had nothing to do with it. Yuri pretty much screwed everything up by trying to turn in the Americans because he was going to get paid more money. So Antonov got screwed by Yuri. So both.
I like Antonov though. I like his bond with Hopper, and I don't want him to die. But
we have predictions.
We have predictions about that.
So I definitely can see. I could definitely see it not going on the right foot. Yay, Joyce and Hopper hugs at the end of Volume 1. But Antonov and Yuri are definitely not going to be hugging each other. They are probably going to be fighting to begin.
And also you see in the trailer Murray with the flamethrower, so they're clearly at battle.
Oh, that Demogorgon is going to mess everything up.
You see the Demogorgon chasing Hopper. You see the Demogorgon on top of Hopper. So it's definitely like a fight mode, but
don't assume Hopper's going to die from that because
he's not going to die.
Based off of season 1, which we just watched, Jonathan was under the Demodog, and who saved him? Mr. Steve Harrington, which he'll come back up in a minute.
Yeah, there's a gate in Russia somewhere.
Yes.
Whether it's in the pit with the mind flayer, or
in the cage with the mind flayer.
In the cage with the mind flayer, whatever. There's a gate somewhere in Russia, and that's how that group of people is going to get back to Hawkins. That's a prediction or a theory, whatever. Obviously, we don't know shit.
There's got to be some gate in Russia, because when you look at that, which we don't know if it's a mind flayer or not, there's just a big black dust thing flying around in one of the cages.
The mind flayer is definitely going to come back into play. Volume 2. Because I think when Elle is standing on that bridge in the sky, I think that's the mind flayer.
I think it's just purely the Upside Down leaking into the regular world. I don't know if it's the mind flare, but yeah. I mean, there are like images surfacing with like mind flares hovering over parts of the world, like New York, Chicago, Los Angeles. Yeah. So Volume 2 is not going to end well for everybody. I'm just saying.
Good transition to let's talk about predictions for deaths.
Yeah,
this is going to be the last thing we talk about in this video.
We might talk about possible predictions for season 5 after this, just based off of who dies and like where we kind of think everyone's going to be left off with. So,
well, I have a theory that another trailer is going to come out before Friday, so maybe
or the first 8 minutes, just like what happened with the season 4 Volume 1.
Because they released a final trailer 3 days before Volume 1 landed, and they called it final trailer. This one they just called the official trailer for Volume 2, so I'm kind of fingers crossed that there's going to be another one. But let's talk about deaths. So, let's talk about the basic ones.
Do you want to do big 3, or do you just want to do like we know for sure is going to die?
Let's talk about the for sure's. Okay. Dr. Brenner.
Yeah, Brenner.
I think he's dead.
And Owens. I think Owens and Brenner are going to die. Owens maybe not as much, but Brenner, that boy got destroyed by a Demogorgon in season 1. Literally just watched it happen maybe 2 hours ago.
I don't know though if it's going to be him sacrificing himself for 11, or if it's going to be 11 just straight up killing him. If she blows up the lab and he's in the lab and she knows he's in the lab, I don't think she's going to straight up like kill him like that.
No.
I think it would just be like, oh, sucks to suck.
It might be. Another theory that everyone has is Brenner is Eleven's dad, and so that could be. We might have an episode 2 of this after.
Yeah.
Because there could be a confession where he says, "I am like
your father."
Good old Darth Vader. I am your father. I'm your father.
Another death. I think one of the 2 new characters in Russia. Also, possibly Murray, which would be devastating because I really enjoy Murray. Who would you predict in the Russia crew?
You and I had somewhat discussed
Hopper
this.
and Joyce, I'm calling safe.
For now. I will say that I think, Danielle and I discussed this a little bit, I think that Antonov is going to bite the bullet for Hopper so he can go and see Elle. Antonov is going to make some sacrifice. My bold prediction for the Russian team is when Hopper is underneath the Demogorgon, that Antonov is going to cause a distraction so he can get away, and the Demogorgon is going to get Antonov. That is my theory. Also, Yuri is okay, but I also wouldn't care if he really died, so...
But they're gonna need Yuri because Yuri is gonna know stuff.
Antonov is the one who worked at the prison. So
well,
he
they
would know
both will.
He would know more than Yuri does.
Well, yeah, obviously it's Yuri's flamethrower that they get. He said, like, oh, I have a flamethrower.
Flamethrower?
Yeah.
However he says it. I can't do whatever.
So, Russia crew, I think the safes are Joyce and Hopper. I think the other three are in danger.
And the other thing that we are trying to figure out is how do they get back to Hawkins?
We already talked about that. There's a gate somewhere.
I know, but, well, yeah. Well, that's the weird thing that we also don't know. If a gate is open in Russia, does that take him to the Upside Down in Hawkins, or does that take him to an Upside Down in Russia? That's never been theorized. But I guess since it's stuck in 1983?
Well, you don't think it would be in,
I could see it going straight to Hawkins.
I think so, because think about Hopper surviving.
He jumped off the ledge.
I know, but I think that there could be a gate, like in the real world.
I mean, there's plenty of theories that we can go off with that. I don't know if a gate. I could see a gate going directly to Hawkins because that's kind of like its point of attack. So
let's talk about the California crew. So that is Jonathan, 11, I guess we'll say, Will, Mike, and Argyle. We're not going to count Susie and all of them.
Yeah,
those are the 5 main.
Yeah,
I think Will is safe because I don't think that they would kill. I don't think going off of him coming out, I don't think they'd kill him right away. That's literally the only basis that I have, and I hope he doesn't die because I actually like Will. I think that
I wouldn't mind Mike dying. He's been kind of a dick this season.
Yeah, he's a little dull. Argyle, I don't think is safe.
Argyle is one of those characters where it's like
I don't think he's safe, but I also think that he might just like I don't think he'll necessarily like join the crew like as deep as Eddie has.
I mean, another prediction I actually came up with her is Argyle stays with Eden and Susie, and Jonathan, Mike, and Will keep going.
Take his bus
because
or his van.
Because he's with Eden, so I don't see him wanting to get pulled away from that.
11 is safe for now. In my opinion, that's my opinion.
I don't know. I am skeptical on her surviving this season. And then, heck, man, I could go as long and say that 11 dies this season, and the hero in season 5 is Eddie, because he is 10. You never know. I think 11's safe.
I think 11's safe. I think that Jonathan is not safe, Argyle is not safe, and Mike are not safe.
So basically, Will and 11 are going to be the only survivors.
Yeah, we're going to go with who we think is safe and who we think is not safe. That's mine. Who you got out of those 5?
I didn't say Russia. Russia, I would say Joyce, Hopper are safe. Murray is kind of on the fence, but either of the 2 Russian guys could go. For California, I could see Jonathan and Will being safe, but Mike and Argyle, kind of on the fence with those guys. Wait, you said 5. There's only
11.
4. Oh, and 11. 11, whatever. 11's fine.
All right.
I could see being Argyle or Mike, just because I just have not liked Mike this season at all.
So then that's California. Okay, so then we have
So after California,
Hawkins
we've
gang.
got... Yeah, I think that's the last group. Hawkins. Well, there's technically 2 Hawkins groups, but they all convened at the end of
We'll talk about all of them.
So
let's start with the...
Well, let's list our cast here. We've got Robin... I was just about to say Mike.
Let's break it up into the groups that we saw in the trailer. So Robin, Steve, Nancy. I think the only safe one is Robin. No, those 3 go off on their own.
Well, when
I'm breaking it up into
when the preview is going on, though, Robin's the one who's caught in the veins of Vecna. That sounds so weird to say.
It's my prediction that she's the only safe one. You can have your own.
Okay. Here are my thoughts with Mr. Harrington here. He has come a very long way since being the douche of season 1. I do not want to see him die. Is he going to die? I think he's got one of the highest chances, and it sucks wiener, because everyone has grown to love him, and based off of what the comments are coming from the producers and all that, get ready to be hurt in this season. Get ready. So I can even see...
Steve is one of my top.
In all honesty, any of the 3 that are in the Upside Down going to Vecna is at least at risk of dying.
Yeah.
I don't want Harrington or Robin to die. Nancy, she hasn't had the best season. I mean...
Yeah, she's kind of gotten on my nerves this season.
She was a badass in season 2 and 3, don't get me wrong, but this season she just kind of... I don't know, she just didn't work with me this season. So I'm not going to say I don't mind her dying, but out of those 3, I would pick her over Robin or Steve. That's all I'm saying. So,
or what if she has to choose between saving Jonathan and Steve?
See, we both have theories on this. She thinks Nancy's going to have to pick between Jonathan and Steve. I think Steve's going to have to pick between Nancy and Dustin.
So let's move to Dustin and Eddie. I don't think either of them are safe.
I unfortunately have to agree. However,
I think Dustin is the most at risk of the main 4 boys.
Because, all of them have got love interests except for Will. But Will is in the California group. And I guess Will technically might have a love
stick to
interest.
Dustin and Eddie.
Dustin and Eddie, I
don't think either is safe.
You hate to see a new character go. I hated seeing Billy die. That was gut-wrenching.
Well, the way he did was just awful.
Well, yeah, it was heroic as hell. That's another theory we have, is Billy might actually come back. That's my hope, but I'm not going to dig deep into that one. This video's already getting too long.
Okay, so...
let me know if you think so. Let me know in the comments. But I would say Eddie, I want both of them to be safe, but I would say it's just 2 of them, and I don't see them really being safe, especially with Eddie playing guitar on top of the van. I can definitely see that being the trailer, in the trailer park. That's where they're at. I can definitely see that being bait to lure the monsters to him.
Yeah.
And in one of the other previews, you see Dustin running, and you can read his lips yelling Eddie. So, I don't know. I don't want either of them to die, but I would say both of them are heavily at risk.
So then let's move to Max, Erica...
Well, who did you... Oh, you said both of them are at risk, right?
No, yes, I did. Max, Erica, and Lucas. Max, Erica, and Lucas. I think they are all
let's face
safe.
it. Everyone in... Oh, okay. Never mind. I was going to say, let's face it, everyone in Hawkins is at risk. But, okay. Max, I would say, is at risk, but like I said, I think something's going to happen. Because in the preview, you see the same thing. Vecna doing the thing to her face, about to contort her and crap. But I think something's going to happen where Will is going to somehow intervene in some fashion. But again, I don't know. Because if you think about it, after watching season 1 again, he's tangled up in a bunch of vines and has a weird thing in his mouth. So that could be how Vecna started, and so he might recognize him if he's in the Upside Down and might make him a target. So I would say Max out of those 3. I don't see them doing anything to Erica. I just can't.
They're not going to kill Erica.
I don't see them doing anything to Erica. Lucas, I feel has come really far this season.
If Lucas died in any way, it would be for Max.
Yeah, that's
100%.
Something definitely happens to him, because in the preview you see him making that weird face and looking up. So I don't know if that's who knows. Jason could actually get Vecna too.
I think there's a good chance that all of those characters will come in contact with Vecna. Not necessarily in this way, but I think that they will see him face to face, because really the only people who have are Max
and Nancy.
Well,
Nancy hasn't seen him in person.
You know that she will though, because she
because there's that clip that
So I think all of them will come face to face with Vecna at some point. Maybe not in, like I said, maybe not in a he's gonna kill me type of way, but I think that they will all see him.
Well, yeah, because that's
sight.
the other thing you got to think about too is with the preview, you see when Nancy's using the shotgun, you don't see Robin or Steve behind her anymore, or like to the back of her. They're not there anymore. Because you could see her going up with the gun, and there's Steve and then Robin, and then when she shoots the gun, both of them are not in the picture anymore. So, I don't know. I think everyone at Hawkins is at risk, pretty much except for Erica, just because I don't see them doing that. Why would they do that?
But let us know your thoughts on any of the topics we talked about, any of your top theories and predictions, especially who you think is going to die, because that's what we keep talking about. We keep coming up with theories as to why someone will die and everything, but let us know in the comments, and we'll definitely chat back with you. So
we'll probably have, I don't want to call it a part 2, but we might have like a season 5 prediction thing after season 4 is completely done.
Oh, definitely.
So, because we were going to somewhat talk about it today, but I think we should just leave it off at let's see what the Duffers come up with, and then we will go off of that, because that's what's going to actually happen, not just what we think is going to happen.
We also might do a similar video to this for Only Murders in the Building once some of the season starts up.
Once we get towards the finale of Only Murders.
But anyway, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and chat with us in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video.
Later.
Bye!